A single bullet, one shot, 22 years of silence. If you love stories where patience outlasts power, where one detective's obsession brings down an empire, hit that follow button. Because what happened in a country club parking lot in Oklahoma changed everything we thought we knew about organized crime in America. Tulsa, Oklahoma. May 27, 1981, 4:15 p.m. The parking lot at Southern Hills Country Club sits quiet under the afternoon sun. Roger Wheeler, 55 years old, chairman of Telex Corporation, walks toward his Cadillac. He carries a leather workout bag. Inside golf clubs. He wears a suit. Wednesday afternoon golf, his weekly ritual. Two men sit in a stolen car 30 yards away. They wear beards, wigs. One holds a .38 caliber revolver. Wheeler opens his car door. He slides into the driver's seat. The passenger door of the stolen car opens. A man steps out. He walks toward the Cadillac. Witnesses later describe his pace as purposeful. Not running. Not slow, committed. Wheeler settles into his seat. The man reaches the driver's side window. He raises the revolver. Wheeler turns, one shot. Point-blank range. Between the eyes. The gun falls apart in the shooter's hand. The cylinder drops. Live rounds scatter across the asphalt. 6 cartridges. They roll under the Cadillac. The shooter bends down. He gathers what he can see. He cannot find them all. He runs back to the stolen car. The driver accelerates. They exit through the main gate. 11 witnesses see pieces of what happens. A lawn crew working the 18th hole. Children at the swimming pool. Golf caddies. Club members. None see enough. The Cadillac door remains open. Wheeler slumps forward. Blood pools on the leather seat. His gold watch still visible on his wrist. His workout bag still in the passenger seat. Nothing stolen. This was not a robbery. Detective Mike Huff receives the call at 4:23 p.m. He is 25 years old. Homicide detective, evening shift, Tulsa Police Department. He drives to Southern Hills. 7 minutes through rush hour traffic. He arrives at 4:30 p.m. Patrol officers have secured the scene. Yellow tape surrounds the Cadillac. Huff approaches the vehicle. He looks through the window. He sees Wheeler, suit, tie, leather bag. Golf clubs. This is not kitchen staff. This is not lawn crew. This is Southern Hills membership. This is money. This is power. Huff walks around the vehicle. He studies the ground. He finds shell casings. No, not casings. Live rounds. Unfired ammunition. 6 cartridges of .38 caliber ammunition scattered on the asphalt near the driver's door. He photographs each one. He marks their positions. Crime scene technicians bag them as evidence. Item 7A through 7F. 6 live Ponton .38 caliber rounds. Winchester brand. Standard ammunition. Available at any gun store in America. The medical examiner arrives at 5:15 p.m. Preliminary examination at the scene. Single gunshot wound. Entry point between the eyes. No exit wound. The bullet remains lodged in Wheeler's brain. Cause of death, homicide by gunshot. Time of death, approximately 4:15 p.m. The body is transported to the medical examiner's office. Autopsy scheduled for the following morning. The Cadillac is towed to the police impound lot. Evidence technicians will process it under controlled conditions. Huff begins interviews. 11 witnesses. 11 different vantage points. 11 different versions. A lawn crew member saw 2 men in a car. He cannot describe their faces. A child at the pool saw a man with a beard. She thinks it was brown. A caddy saw a car leaving quickly. He remembers it was light-colored. Maybe tan. Maybe gold. Harvey Pratt arrives at 6:01 p.m. He works for the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. He is a forensic artist. Internationally known. Huff briefs him on the witnesses. Pratt interviews each one separately. He asks questions: height, weight, build, hair color, facial features, clothing. Pratt sketches. He shows his drawings to the witnesses. He makes adjustments. By 9 p.m. he has 2 composite sketches. Male, white, approximately 35 years old. Muscular build, dark beard. One sketch shows a fuller face. The second shows a leaner profile. The sketches are copied, distributed. Every patrol officer receives copies. Every detective. The media receives them at a press conference scheduled for the following morning. Huff returns to the station at 10 p.m. He begins building the case file. He types reports. He organizes evidence logs. He reviews witness statements. He knows this is not a robbery. He knows this is not random. He knows this is execution. The autopsy is performed on May 28th at 8:00 a.m. The medical examiner recovers the bullet from Wheeler's brain, a .38 caliber projectile, deformed from impact. Ballistics examines it under microscopy. Rifling marks are visible. Lands and grooves. The bullet can be matched to a specific firearm if that firearm is ever recovered, but there is no firearm. The gun was disassembled, thrown into the Arkansas River near 51st Street and Riverside Drive. The killer sawed it into pieces, small pieces, untraceable pieces. The river carried them downstream. They settled into mud. They would never be found. The live cartridges become the focus. Why were they left behind? Huff develops a theory. The gun malfunctioned. The cylinder opened. The rounds fell out. The killer tried to gather them. But he was exposed, visible. He took what he could grab quickly. He left the rest. Those 6 cartridges go into evidence. They are photographed, catalogued, stored. They seem insignificant. Just ammunition. No fingerprints. No unique markings, but Huff keeps them. He labels them carefully. He files them in the evidence room. Items 7A through 7F. 6 witnesses to a murder that will take 22 years to solve. The investigation expands within 48 hours. Huff learns that Roger Wheeler is not just a Tulsa businessman. He owns World Jai-Alai, a gambling operation based in Florida. He purchased it in 1978 for $55 million. High interest rates, 21%. Heavy monthly payments. Wheeler suspected something wrong. Money was not adding up. He sent his son, David Wheeler, to audit the company. David found irregularities, missing funds, suspicious transactions, employees who seemed nervous when questioned. Wheeler confronted his staff. He demanded answers. He threatened to involve law enforcement. He fired several key employees. He attempted to place H. Paul Rico on a polygraph. Rico was a retired FBI agent. He worked as vice president of security for World Jai-Alai. Rico refused the polygraph. Wheeler grew more suspicious. He began to investigate Rico's background. He discovered connections. Connections to Boston. Connections to organized crime. Connections that made no sense for a former FBI agent. Huff makes phone calls. He contacts the FBI field office in Tulsa. He requests assistance. He asks about Boston organized crime. He asks about World Jai-Alai. He asks about H. Paul Rico. The response comes back terse. 2 sentences. Boston FBI has ruled out any Boston Mafia connection to the Wheeler homicide. Case closed on their end. Huff does not accept this. He continues investigating. He contacts Wheeler's business associates. He interviews employees at Telex Corporation. He speaks with Wheeler's family. Everyone describes the same man. Successful, honest, direct, not involved in anything that would get him killed, except World Jai-Alai. The case goes cold in 1982. No suspects. No arrests. No progress. Huff is reassigned to other cases. He works other homicides. Tulsa has a 90% clearance rate. 90% of murders are solved. But not Wheeler. Wheeler remains open, unsolved. A file on Huff's desk that grows thicker but produces nothing. 1985. 4 years after the murder. Huff receives a phone call. A producer from a new television show. The show is called Unsolved Mysteries. They want to feature the Wheeler case. National television. Millions of viewers. Huff takes the idea to his superiors. The police department is conservative. They do not like publicity. They do not want media attention on an unsolved case. It makes them look incompetent. But Chief Bob Dick approves it. The episode airs. It becomes one of the highest-rated episodes in television history. Millions watch. Tips flood in. None lead anywhere concrete. But the case stays alive. People remember Roger Wheeler. People remember Southern Hills. People remember that someone got away with murder in Tulsa. Huff keeps working. He makes trips to Boston. He meets with FBI agents. He meets with Massachusetts State Police. He meets with detectives in multiple jurisdictions. He shows them the composite sketches. He shows them crime scene photographs. He shows them the 6 live cartridges found at the scene. In Boston, names begin to surface. Winter Hill Gang, Irish Organized Crime, Whitey Bulger, Stephen Flemmi, John Martorano. These are not strangers to law enforcement. These are known criminals, murderers, enforcers, but they are also protected. Whitey Bulger is an FBI informant. He feeds information to Special Agent John Connolly. Connolly grew up in the same neighborhood as Bulger. They have history. Connolly protects Bulger. He warns him of investigations. He shields him from prosecution. In exchange, Bulger provides information about the Italian mafia. The arrangement is corrupt, but it is sanctioned. The FBI wants to dismantle La Cosa Nostra. They believe Bulger is the key. They overlook his crimes. They ignore his murders. They protect a killer to catch other killers. Huff discovers this slowly, piece by piece, document by document. He obtains records from private investigators hired by Telex Corporation immediately after the murder. They gathered items from Paul Rico's desk. Notes, phone numbers, appointments. One note references Jack from South Boston. This is Bulger's code name with Rico. Huff keeps everything. He builds the file. He maintains contact with every source. He travels to Boston repeatedly. His department supports him. They pay for flights, hotels, rental cars. They understand this case matters. It matters to Tulsa. It matters to justice. 995. John Martorano is arrested on federal racketeering charges. He faces life in prison. His attorney negotiates. Martorano agrees to cooperate. He will confess to his murders. All of them. In exchange for a reduced sentence, Martorano confesses to 20 murders. One of them is Roger Wheeler. He provides details. He names his accomplice, Joe McDonald. He describes the planning, the surveillance, the stolen car, the guns shipped via Greyhound bus from Boston to Tulsa, the wigs, the beards. He describes the malfunction, the .38 revolver falling apart after the shot, the cylinder opening, the live rounds spilling onto the pavement. He tried to gather them. He panicked. He left some behind. Huff hears this confession in 1997, 16 years after the murder. Martorano's description matches the crime scene perfectly. The 6 live cartridges, the single shot, the immediate departure. Everything aligns, but Martorano is not the target Huff wants most. He wants the people who ordered the murder. He wants John Callahan. He wants H. Paul Rico. He wants Whitey Bulger. He wants Stephen Flemmi. John Callahan is already dead. Murdered in 1982, shot by Martorano. Callahan knew too much about the Wheeler hit. Bulger and Flemmi ordered him killed to prevent him from talking. Paul Rico is still alive. He lives in Florida, retired, comfortable, confident that his career with the FBI protects him, that no one will touch a decorated federal agent. Huff prepares the case. He gathers 22 years of evidence, witness statements, crime scene photographs, ballistic reports, the 6 live cartridges, Martorano's confession, phone records, travel records, financial records connecting Rico to the conspiracy. 2003. Huff travels to Florida. He carries an arrest warrant. Murder in the first degree. H. Paul Rico, age 78. Huff knocks on Rico's door. Rico answers. Huff identifies himself. Sergeant Mike Huff, Tulsa Police Department. Rico smiles. He remembers the young detective from 1981, the kid who asked too many questions. Huff places him under arrest. Rico sits in the Miami-Dade County Jail. He refuses to speak. He demands an attorney. He insists he is innocent. He reminds anyone who will listen that he served the FBI for 27 years. He developed key witnesses. He built cases against the mafia. He has commendations, awards, recognition from J. Edgar Hoover himself. None of it matters. The evidence is overwhelming. Martorano's confession. Phone records showing calls between Rico and Bulger before the murder. Records showing Rico's conversations with John Callahan. Witness testimony from World Jai Alai employees. Financial analysis showing the skimming operation. Wheeler's attempts to expose it. Rico's role in protecting it. Rico's trial is scheduled for 2004. He will be extradited to Oklahoma. He will face a jury in Tulsa County, the same county where Roger Wheeler was murdered 23 years earlier, but Rico dies in January 2004. Heart attack. He is 78 years old. He dies in custody. He never stands trial. He never faces the families of his victims. He dies knowing the truth but never admitting it. Whitey Bulger flees in 1995. He is tipped off by John Connolly. Connolly warns him that indictments are coming. Bulger disappears. He takes his girlfriend, Catherine Gregg. They live under assumed names. They move through multiple states. They settle in Santa Monica, California. They live there for 16 years. FBI places Bulger on the 10 most wanted list. His face appears on billboards, television shows, newspapers. Millions of dollars in reward money is offered. But Bulger remains hidden. He lives in plain sight. An elderly man walking his dog. A regular at the local library. No one recognizes him. 2011. A tip comes in. A woman recognizes Catherine Gregg from a public service announcement. She calls the FBI. They verify the tip. They surveil the apartment. They confirm it is Bulger. FBI arrests him on June 22, 2011. No resistance. He is 81 years old. He has 30 weapons in the apartment. Cash hidden in the walls. $800,000. False identification. Bulger is returned to Boston. His trial begins in 2013, 32 years after the Roger Wheeler murder. The prosecution presents evidence of 19 murders, racketeering, extortion, money laundering, witness intimidation, obstruction of justice. John Martirano testifies. He describes the Wheeler murder step by step, the planning, the execution, the aftermath. He identifies Bulger as one of the conspirators. He explains that Bulger approved the hit, that Bulger provided resources, that Bulger profited from the continued skimming operation at World Jai. Stephen Flemmi testifies. He corroborates Martirano's account. He admits his own role in the conspiracy. He explains that Wheeler had to be eliminated, that Wheeler was too smart, too persistent, that he was closing in on their operation. The 6 live cartridges from the crime scene are entered into evidence, items 7A through 7F. They are displayed for the jury. The prosecutor explains their significance. The gun malfunctioned. The killer panicked. He left evidence behind. Evidence that sat in a police property room for 3 decades. Evidence that witnessed the murder without speaking. Until the killers finally confessed. Bulger does not testify. He sits silent throughout the trial. He shows no emotion, no remorse, no acknowledgement of the lives destroyed. August 12, 2013. The jury deliberates for 5 days. They return with a verdict. Guilty on 31 of 32 counts. Guilty of participating in 11 murders. Guilty of racketeering. Guilty of extortion. Guilty of money laundering. The judge sentences him to 2 life terms plus 5 years. Bulger is 83 years old. He will die in prison. John Connolly, the FBI agent who protected Bulger, is also convicted. Second-degree murder, racketeering, obstruction of justice. He receives a 40-year sentence. The FBI agent who swore to uphold the law became a criminal himself. Mike Huff retires from the Tulsa Police Department on May 31, 2011. 31 years in homicide. Longer than almost anyone in department history. He worked the Wheeler case for 30 years. He never gave up. He never accepted the FBI's initial dismissal. He never stopped pursuing the truth. The case changed how law enforcement views organized crime. It exposed the FBI's corrupt informant program. It revealed how the Bureau protected killers to serve its own agenda. It showed that no one is above the law. Not mob bosses, not FBI agents, not decorated war heroes. The 6 live cartridges remain in evidence. They are stored in the Tulsa County District Attorney's Office. Items 7A through 7F. 6 small pieces of brass and lead that witnessed a murder. That waited 30 years for justice. That connected a crime scene in Oklahoma to a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of law enforcement in Boston. Roger Wheeler's family never recovered financially. Telex Corporation struggled without his leadership. It eventually collapsed. 4,000 employees lost their jobs. Families that depended on Wheeler's vision lost their livelihoods. The murder did not just kill one man. It destroyed an entire ecosystem of prosperity. Wheeler's wife, Pat, became a philanthropist in Tulsa. She donated millions to local causes, education, healthcare, arts. She never spoke publicly about her husband's murder. She never sought media attention. She lived quietly until her death in 2012. She died 1 year before Bulger's conviction. David Wheeler, Roger's son, assisted Huff throughout the investigation. He provided financial records. He explained his father's suspicions about World Jai. He traveled to Boston multiple times. He sat through trials. He faced his father's killers. He ensured his father's murder would not be forgotten. The parking lot at Southern Hills Country Club looks the same today as it did on May 27, 1981. The same trees, the same pavement, the same view of the golf course. There is no marker, no memorial, nothing to indicate that a man died there. That organized crime reached into the heart of Oklahoma and took a life, but the evidence remains. Photographs, reports, ballistic analysis, 6 live cartridges, and the memory of one detective who refused to let a case grow cold, who spent 3 decades pursuing men more powerful than himself, who proved that patience defeats power, that truth outlasts lies, that justice delayed is not justice denied. The murder was solved not by a single piece of evidence, not by ballistics alone, but by decades of persistence, by refusing to accept that some crimes are too big to solve, by believing that even mobsters leave traces, and that those traces, no matter how small, no matter how long buried, will eventually speak.